energy
Yeah,
in
exactly.
their team comms.
So moving back to Miramar, we've got the plane in the air. We're going south to north this time around, where I think this time, for sure, everywhere on the map is a viable drop spot. And for SSG, talking about them a lot today, obviously, I think that the maybe this is the turning point for them as they've put together pretty decent games today.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to see them bounce back, obviously, after a rough start to phase 3, but they're looking, I wouldn't say more poised, but definitely more active. And that's going to start paying dividends for them longer term. I'm not sure what I'm seeing right now from SSG, because typically we'd expect to see them Pozo or Valdemar. And looks like they're coming over east side here.
And maybe this is, you know, that something new. They're just pulling something out of the hat here to see if maybe changing up drop spots, getting to the ground quicker, vying for, I don't know. You clearly have an explanation ready for this, Hypoc. Maybe what are they working on here? Was
that what that face told you? I have no clue what they're doing down here. Dropping into in between Leonis and Minas, so in the Bendita area.
Wow.
I guess, you know, it's a good call. Looking at that first circle is a good choice to make, but obviously
that's a dice roll.
Yeah, that is a dice roll.
I guess
it's paid off for them.
They nailed it, I think.
Yeah,
they clearly
great call.
The clairvoyant circle shaman that is Valiate has seen the future, and they've landed directly center.
It's got to be the new hat.
It must
finally swapped that 20-year-old hat, and he's got a fresh one. So he's got a fresh thinking head on him now.
Yeah, and maybe loosened it up a little bit, let the blood flow a little bit easier. So Valiate, the rest of SSG, going to find themselves center zone. Tempo Storm also having a terrific day. They've picked up a couple of victories here, and for Sharpshot and the rest of the squad, I think you know, Sharky was just kind of chatting between rounds. They seem to be not really concerned with either success or failure in their case. They're just like, we're playing our game, we're doing our thing. It's worked out 2 phases in a row, and I think that with the victories now starting to pile up for this squad, and as they climb the leaderboard, I think that's clearly ringing true.
Yeah, and for them to bounce back like this in week 2 is fantastic to see. And Sharpshot clawing his way back up the stats. I think actually before the previous game, he was actually #1 in kills. You just saw it pop up there. He's second on the kill leader right now. But again, that's what you would have hoped when you read about Sharpshot going to Tempo. You'd expect him to slot in and be able to perform the way that arguably he couldn't on Wildcard because their game plan fell apart in other areas.
Lazarus still looting in Hacienda. And talking about Sharpshot specifically, they did win WSOE together on Tempo, which was so long ago, and I mean was a one-off tournament. It was an invite tournament. There's a lot to kind of degrade that performance. But more so, I think they'll look at Sharpshot as just a fit on any team. Really nice young guy, has obviously all the skill in the world. But it's been, again, comm so important, and having someone who slots into where Dre was, I think Sharpshot arguably was the best choice they could have made.
I think so too, yeah. And to say that, he's a better player than Dre, I don't think he's strictly fair, but he's definitely better in areas that tie in better with Tempo's overall team dynamic. So having somebody that can contribute, vocally in game as well as statistically is a massive bonus for an already amazing team.
So the way the circle set itself up, I imagine that we're going to see a lot of action around that northern side. Lazarus is, I imagine that this situation probably want to be out of Hacienda sooner rather than later. As for Wildcard and even Vanquish, Finna way up in the Oasis of all places, out in his vehicle. There's northern path coming south. We see teams like to sweep out, go long. I imagine that someone's going to want to be going on that western side, as coming east on this circle, I think pretty difficult, Hypoc.
It is, yeah. There's only really these 2 roads that kind of run in from Picardo and then Tuma. Other than that, you're wrapping down. If you're wrapping south, the terrain's not ideal unless you're going to stick on a road, which isn't the best choice in majority of scenarios. But also, likewise to the north, coming into Minas very difficult, and coming south of Minas into Bendita is even more difficult.
Now, normally, we are on the receiving end of having our statements picked apart, Hypoc, as we see. Well, actually, it's going to be Taro. Aguila has been spotted him, and Taro's not in a great position here, taking a lot of damage. He will go down, and likely the first man out. What do you think about Uncivil, talking about statements? Maybe this is just a on-the-spot interview question. The huge upgrade, I think is what he said, of Luke over Adam. Where do you think that upgrade, is that a straight skill upgrade, comms? What do you think the intangible is there?
Well, I mean, it's lucky it's a player making that comment and not one
Oh
of the
my
casters,
goodness!
right?
Imagine
There would be uproar.
fire in the streets.
I mean, I think it's a fair statement. It's important to obviously note that Adam was never an underperformer for that team. I don't think he was like black and white that he was the problem with that Lazarus roster when they were underperforming. Because I think statistically the other players weren't, head and shoulders above him. So when you look at that on paper, you can't say, Adam's the one not pulling his weight. But I think Luke probably brings a very similar dynamic in terms of being positive and, being a quiet slayer, but probably accounts more for, mechanical skill and ability to, make plays and be the key player in certain scenarios.
And you said it's not directly black and white, and being a huge upgrade isn't necessarily on paper. It should be just the way he rotates to support without really, maybe not communicating it, but just in the right place at the right time. Maybe a more for the style an upgrade, and that can be important to make the distinction.
Yeah, a player that doesn't need micromanaging as much is
where are you? What are you doing?
Exactly. And just knowing that coming out of looting phase. You see, actually, Genesis and Sonics again, classic. Third game in a row now. So.
They want the victor. I think Sonics is up a couple of points on him in the head-to-head.
Well, I mean, there is actually one thing to note. Genesis actually, again, we've talked about this a number of times, being the earliest team to rotate out of their lose spot. They've obviously sat here and waited for Sonics. So that's an interesting dynamic. That usually we would see Genesis obviously loot for 3.5 minutes, 3 minutes max, and then be rotating. And actually, they've sat here and waited for Sonics to come down off the power grid's hill, if you like, or the plateau.
Well, last game they sent it into the Sonics, maybe not intentionally, but they certainly committed to the fight. Didn't work out in their favor. I mean, it was kind of a mutually assured destruction situation there. But for the Sonics, they did lose Tony V already as well.
Yeah. And that could be something that it could send Sonics into a more passive play style throughout the rest of this map. We'll have to see, but as you can see, SSG settling for a 2-2 split over southeast of Bendita here. Lazarus actually coming into the north of Bendita. Ghost opting to come and play the south side. Typically, we would see them come to the high ground next to where SSG is split to the south, but maybe they're aware of that and they've kind of switched that up a little bit. But they've also got Tempo occupying a fairly typical area of the map. We'd expect to see them, but I want to see SSG continue with this momentum. Obviously, much better start today than we had last week. I mean, whether or not they've gone away and actually consciously made that decision and changed something.
Well, speaking of huge upgrades, how do you think about J-Sank here in the second phase where he's been playing?
I probably don't think it's fair for me to kind of bring that off of the first week's performance, because he's not had a great time. But again, we talked about it in the cooking section that we had, where J-Sank had a standout performance in the first few games of GOL, where things were difficult for them. So I think with the smile on your face, obviously implying it.
Listen, I would never imply anything here. How dare you? How dare you say such things to me? Nerf and the rest of the Nerf and the rest of Genesis facing off with the Rumblers in the open here. This is the time and time again we've seen Genesis in these isolated team fights on the edge of the zone. Early game, that seems to be a big part of their strategy. If you're a team that isn't afraid to take team fights really at any stage of the game, are you looking for these isolated team fights in the early goings?
I think it's calculated to the extent where they're going to high traffic areas and just waiting for these free kills. They don't hang around for team fights. They don't hang around to wipe a team entirely. It's just kind of, that war of attrition that we talk about, where it's knock one player, flush it, move on, look for something else. They're not prioritizing getting these kills to the point where they're leaving themselves so late that they can't rotate into the circle. So again, this compound here is an area we see Genesis play a lot, but it's also a high traffic area. So the fact that they're actually consciously setting up, and you can see the split now come in south with Nerf and Profi, they're actively setting up now to capitalize on Rumbler's position.
Zenith is quietly coming on the northern side. Lazarus sticking to the edge and coming out of Hacienda. They haven't really traveled a tremendous distance, but hanging out in Bendita Crater with this circle that might continue to shift south. Is there any specific issue with where SSG is set up if Lazarus has to rotate out of Bendita early?
I mean, yes, there's a lot of open ground to cover, so potentially J-Sank and I think it's Headfall on the north side. No, sorry, J-Sank and Valier on the north side of the split. Yes, they could potentially get punished by Tempo Storm, because Tempo Storm also set up in a position where they're in a 2-2. We've got Zen further over to the west as well, so it's going to be risky if one of them has to move the next circle, and you know, chances are it's probably going to be J-Sank and Valley that have to come south.
Nerf smartly giving up the driver's seat, as I think one of the biggest memes that we've seen in NPL is Nerf driving. I know that the Cloud9 fans and now the Genesis fans frequently bring up how disaster that can be from time to time, as Genesis and the Sonics getting ever closer towards one another. It's like they've got the X-ray toggled on here. They can see. Yeah, I think Keenan's been spotted.
Keenan's been spotted, but actually, just to note, Tickleton is down in the compound that's right down in the middle of this massive crater that's to the north here. I don't know if Profi is going to look to get aggressive on this. They might still have an idea that this is, you know, Sonic's backing off from the earlier scuffle, I say, they got into on just north side of Picardo. So actually, Rumbler's coming up to try and punish Genesis from behind. So Profi and Nerf probably going to have to back off a little bit. Again, I don't think that any of them are going to get knocked and flushed right now, but we can already see this Lazarus push towards SSG. Valiant and J-Sank still holding down this compound, committed to it.
What is this split again from Lazarus? They're all over the place.
And we saw this last week with, you know, Kurt ended up behind Riot Squad in Bendita. Massively split, not in a position to help each other. And they kind of all had to engage at exactly the same time. I see J-Sank holding here, yeah.
No sight vector. You have to wonder. I mean, I imagine they landed at this house and didn't move far from it.
Well, this was the same. The audible drop. They obviously dropped in between three teams that they probably. I mean, I'm expecting they've done their homework. They would have known the drop spots and where other teams would have been, but it doesn't look like they've got a very favorable, I'd say, loot backup off of this drop.
I wonder if this is an intentional trap here. Like Valiate and J-Sank not moving around too much. Purdy seems to have some idea that something's going on. Keenan taking a couple of shots here. This is again with the Sonics. I imagine he's looking towards, I'm not sure who he's got sight lines on there, maybe United. But Wildcard out back behind. But these wide splits, they get punished so frequently. Now, Space Station Gaming, they got the 2-2. And we're going to see another circle shift here. Maybe Lazarus will not have to move too far, but, you know, they got to move all the way into Leonis as...
The problem comes now when SSG have to leave because Lazarus is set up outside the compound. So they have the gift of time. And actually we see... okay, I was going to say Baha engaged on, but Baha getting a knock onto Zampa. Uncivil getting 2 knocks onto Zenith right now. Alo getting 1 of the confirms there. So Lazarus maybe taking on more than they should right now. I'd like to see him regroup and focus up on one team.
How about that 4 times AK spray at distance?
We were talking about whether or not they had a chance to get some decent loot.
The answer is...
I think that speaks for itself.
No doubt. As Purdy escaping, they got 2 kills onto Zenith. As Uncivil, you know, they were spread out, but I think there's something to be said about just being, I guess, like the largest macro off angle you could find yourself in, where you just send players all over the place and see if you can trap somebody. Now it's going to be Profi stepping up towards Patcap, taking a lot of damage. Oh my goodness. I don't think there's a player, and I'm not sure if he's going to survive this yet. No, I was going to say he's going to get knocked here, but Profi has got to be the how isn't he knocked yet all-time leader.
Yeah. I see him at 1 HP so often, it's actually unreal. Patcap's actually bouncing a nade off there. Nerf looking like he's going to try and commit to this this clearance, but...
H-Win's down too. So H-Win being down here is really going to slow them down. Nerf is just not slowing down, no. He's up in the front. He's going to try and maybe get all of United. They're like a beehive over there. He can spot 1, but that's a lot of peaks to contend with. Profi, I think, is being rezzed. No, and he's not going to be rezzed, as Balefrost will get the kill there. I think it's going to be H-Win getting res with K-Mine there, so back up to 3. But this Leonis area, Hypoc, there's so many windows to contend with.
There is a peek in any of these windows, especially, you know, the high-rise with 5 or 6 floors. There's like 18 windows that have an angle on you. I was going to say, I don't actually know if Genesis no Patcaps was upstairs in that building, but Nerf is going to die for it. Pride getting a knock onto K-Mine. That's Genesis going out at 16th again.
Wow, and you can see the looks. We're sitting down here on the floor, and K-Mine immediately talking to his team, just trying to deconstruct as to what went wrong there. K-Mine has slowly emerged as a very vocal leader on the team as well. As, you know, Genesis, they have a great internal synergy, but they do keep each other accountable for their mistakes, and I think this 16th place, that is a big mistake for Genesis.
I mean, something's got to give. This is not what we'd expect. But I'm talking about them being one of the most consistent teams, and that's 3 consistent 16th places.
Not the day for Genesis. Wild card, they're in the blue. At least Adam is. He's looking out towards Lazarus, also in the blue, and they're I was wondering how they would rotate out of here, but really they haven't made too many moves. They're in the vehicles. Alo's off by himself, and now in the blue here in the early stages. I think they're going to be taking a lot of chunk damage here as we're about to have another circle shift.
Yeah, and the problem being Tempo's also pulled into the far north side of this as well. So Lazarus actually driving straight through Wildcard, Sonics, and Tempo Storm right now. It looks like Sharky's trying to get eyes onto this. Sharpshot's about to throw a nade over. If Lazarus are clamped up right now, this could be the end of them.
Nothing lands on the first one. Follow up now. Lazarus at least has some warning, but here comes mostly all of Tempo. All three players are going to line up and try and get some shots onto Lazarus. They've got some moves to make, but not many to choose from.
Kurt taking down Luke just to try and help Tempo out a little bit.
Well, that's the second key team kill we've seen so far today. And I think maybe Luke poked his head out the wrong angle and took one off the back of the noggin. Now Sharky, he's pressing the action. He wants all the way up. He's got the 3-time scope. Easy clean up there for him. He's going to step up and take Luke down as well. And that's a hey, thanks for the kill, Purdy, as 2 kills go to Tempo. Lazarus limping into the zone.
Yeah, and Uncivil all the way out now, 300 meters into the blue. Wildcard still looking for this 1 kill point. You can see Penta and Adam actually poised up, just aiming straight into the blue, looking for this last kill.
This is where I think Lazarus, a team that, at least in phase number 1, just seemed to always know what time it is. They were always, you know, at least in a decent position to make something happen, even if the zone didn't go their way. But so often now, even after a win and the momentum you get from it, they just don't have, there's one bandage in the, this is it for a Civ. So he's going to go down to the zone. That's 15th place. They just seem to be out of position and out of time so often now.
I mean, that's a shame because we've actually seen them perform much better today.
Oh, Waldo! Almost ran over by Adam. Going to jump out on him. He's going to get one. No flush coming, the trade there, but more Rumblers in the back line. And now it's going to be the Rumblers stepping up with the Sonics there as well. I think it's a 2-pronged team fight. It's Wildcard, Rumblers, and Sonics battling on the edge of the zone.
And right now, Lost needs to reset because Keenan's actually coming in all the way from the east. You can see he's already trying to get shots on. Cherry trying to flank down to the west. And actually, I'm not sure if Wildcard are going to reset and try and get the res off here, not knowing that Cherry is this close.
You could potentially step up and over, but Los HD will do the business and get those kills in the bucket for them as Keenan, the lone Sonics player who was involved, has backed away. Oh. Nice shots there. The zone will get him down.
Yeah.
Kickstart. Ooh, unlucky. Pistola time will not give points to anybody, but Los HD will pick up 3, or 2 rather, with the help of Waldo and Cherry. Micro down early. And the res, maybe. Not going to happen.
Unfortunate. Couple of seconds off there with the res. If they'd have tied that team fight up a bit quicker, would have got Waldo up. But unfortunate there, but Rumbler's coming out with 2 players. A little bit of space, but I don't know if they're going to be able to find anywhere on the north side of this circle.
Open plains just on the north side of Leonis, which is still a big feature in this zone. Elsewhere, this is Ghost getting into it with low key. Something happened. It looks like we still, I mean, Ghost still has 3 up, so I imagine they just lost Shrimsy. And they're coming out of Leonis. Riot Squad center zone, still 4 strong. And United, I imagine, hasn't moved too far from their office building they've been using. Oh, it's Shrimsy vaulting in, getting surprised. Vaulting into a building like that in Leona seems like a high-risk proposition.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not a great success rate on that. As we just saw SSG losing J-Sank somehow in the way off in the blue. But the rest of them manages to get into the south side. We see Keenan shutting down Lost there.
Wow. Where's Cherry?
Yeah, J-Sank actually died. Cherry much further over to the north, getting third party from Endemic, actually. Yeah, Endemic actually loads of space over on the west side of this circle. Everybody else committing to Los Leones. So if this shifts, I won't finish my sentence.
It shifts out of Leonis, well, mostly off of Leonis anyways. It did come north, a lot of open space there. Sharky and Zampa with sharp shot. Maluk, the only one down, but 2 kills in the kitty for them. And now they get a little bit of time and space to work with, as most pressure will be on the southern side of the zone as teams have to move through Leonis. Here's SSG. They're on the forefront of that push, and they've got Ghost. They got McCoy down, and this is an open battle in the streets of Leonis.
Yeah, actually, Hetzel getting open. They're not going to look for the follow-up with the nade. McCoy is going to get flushed out by Valier there. Vegas in a position where he's going to be stuck on this wall. He needs to get a smoke down, move away, try and reset, and get a better angle to hold SSG out here, because they're going to have to cross the road eventually. It does look like we get a third party coming in from low key from the north, but wow, actually, whoa, behind enemy lines here, actually behind SSG. I don't know if they have any idea that he was hiding in the mosque here.
Walt Jr., oh, please go for the bolt action. Oh, the SKS, I should say. The pan shots. Can you do it? Pan. It's like a symbol out there as Walt is. Oh, no, it's Walt. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you hate to see it.
You really do. You really do.
Oh, my God. Micro is literally triggered right now, having seen that. He lived that himself last time around. Valley, it's going to go down as, wow, we have got, that is another top 5 all-time getting turned on moment here at the NPL. Vegas and Drassel moving away from Hetror and Valiate. It's all right.
Yeah.
We're going to get through this together, you and I, Pipelock.
I mean, I do.
At least we don't have to live it.
I want to comment on the fact that Roth is so far to the north that he probably has no idea what just happened there. So.
Yeah, no, things happened, Roth. Don't worry about it.
I got held on the edge.
No
I got
video
held on the edge. Yeah.
No way around it, really.
You know, I can see Hetror get this med off. He's going to move, try and move north. Hopefully regroup with Baja. Valiate unfortunately get knocked, and Blue's going to finish him off. Ghost actually pulling away from this, so I'm not sure if they have any idea that SSG was just 2 up, but I would have liked to have seen them commit to holding here, because they must have heard that low-key were trying to third-party this, and they know that they're going to have to run into this.
Oh, Hetror, nice little angle on a Drassel. Can't get the knock, however. Going to go to the grenade. Much easier than bullets in this situation, but now a Riot Squad, they're also doing damage to Drassel, who's feeling very cyber-bullied now as the Molly's going to come up and over. That's got to be close. Hetror does get the nade onto Drassel, and Vegas is going to go down to Hetror as well. So Ghost going down 12th place. Couple of kills going to Space Station.
That's the Hetror we love to see. Get some clutch kills there. I don't know if he's going to be able to get past Low. No.
It's a lot to get out of here, man. It's on the south side. A lot of players hanging out on the edge. Low key, all of them is one of those obstacles you got to get past. And with all these buildings in play, Low key's starting a paper supply company, whereas Ryan Squad is thinking about opening a string of coffee shops in their buildings. And E-United is over there. I don't know. They're just doing E-United things. They're talking about Sharu's hair or something.
Really? You think that's what they talk about?
I don't know.
Given the time.
I don't know. Or Stab is just yelling incessantly about something. Who knows? Now it's a bit of a lull as we're a lot of players kind of hanging out in buildings. Everyone's really got a foothold. Tempo Storm now has to move. Keenan is contemplating his life choices.
I can see why Roth plays to the north here, though, because he is going to get this crate for free. So maybe a calculated decision there. It is going to pay off for him somewhat.
Well, Keenan has a sweet helmet.
Keenan as well actually manages to make it in, as we just saw there. Tempo holding down their compound. I'm surprised they're not moving already to try and find something. That's maybe uncharacteristic of Tempo Storm. It looks like they're waiting for the opportunity to move with the blue, but Keenan and Roth could cause some problems here for Tempo.
Just been handed a note that tells me that Endemic is still 4 strong in this zone. As sometimes they... Oh, excuse me. Is it 4? Is it 3? I'm pretty sure it's 4 in there. As Endemic relatively quiet here through the mid-game. Couple of kills. But this is where we often see them. As Roth is going to unleash, he does not want to suffer the fate of Walt Jr., and he will. As unfortunately another player with his back to him.
Another player with a pan. That's crazy.
Now, will Keenan be able to fully end Xena's career? If no, it looks like it's going to be a full reset. Roth is trying to look for a position. He did get the kit, or the crate. As now Endemic getting into it with Tempo Storm. This is outside in the open with third-party action happening elsewhere. I think that might be Envy firing.
It is Envy firing across, yeah, but we've actually got Baja, Roth, and Keenan all trying to work their way into the top corner. We'll have to see how that pans out, but Tempo looking like, I was going to say, Baja getting it open and double knock, and actually Baja flushing Pride out.
And I think we saw Roth get Keenan, and now SSG picking up more points, but it's been all grenades here on the edges of the zone as Tempo is looking at Endemic with big eyes now. As Crispier is down, Tempo trying to get down and around Wolf. Pivotal defensive position, trying to make sure that Tempo can't get around him, comes off and actually retreats a little bit with Rello, and they want to get further away from the edge of the zone. Endemic, do you call this passive or maybe just smart play?
I mean, they need to pull back from this, but I would have liked to have seen them commit to at least trying to hold Tempo out, because they've now just gifted Tempo an entry into this circle. As we see, Baja gets shut down after a valiant effort against Envy. Envy looking like they're still going to get this res off, but I'm not sure whether or not one of those kills got stolen, but I know that Baja...
I think Pat was the second kill.
Okay.
Finished Pride.
Baja finished Pride off, so at least picking up one more after, you know, the free kill on Walt Jr. that you got earlier.
As you talked about giving Tempo the position, now they have a little bit of time and space, and they've left Crispier in the down state. Sorry, bro. Can't do anything for you, as they've left him to bleed out sad and alone. There he goes, and that's another kill going to Tempo Storm. Now they've got some time and space. which you don't really want to give tempo in these situations.
And that's what I mean. Knowing that it's tempo, you know that they're going to make use of absolutely every inch that they can get. So giving them a way in on the west side here and giving up the concrete building could come back to, you know, cause Endemic to be in a rough situation later on. Stab getting a nice knock on to Packhouse with the SLR there. United up to 3 kills now. Pretty much occupied this building the entire time. Actually, yeah, now Right Squad have to move out in the open. Taylor J getting first tags on there.
This is I mean, if Taylor can stay up here, he's going to have open season, as will the rest of United. They're all trained their eyes on Riot Squad, the zone at their back. They've got to move, even though United has to give up their building. They've got potentially free kills in the open. Taylor J receiving his frames one at a time as Mystery and the rest of the squad use the smokes to move out and down.
Loki actually pushing onto the east side of this building, actually. So United need to swing around now. They need to let Riot Squad go and deal with the threat that is inside their building.
Oh, Mouse in the house. It's Stab. He's turned on 2 of Loki. Here comes potentially more. Stab swats him down. Loki erased by almost Stab by himself.
Insane swing from Stab there, holding down the ground floor. Great work from Loki, though, to identify there was an opportunity to push in. Unfortunate that things didn't work out for them.
Loki struggling in team fights. Now Riot Squad. Oh, nice shots there. Doesn't get the down onto Taylor, but definitely forces his way into the zone. In the doorway, Stab wants more blood, and he will get it. Mystery down, and Stab is stacking up kills.
5 kills now on Stab, 8 total for United. He's still looking for more now, putting some pressure onto Envy. I want to see him move up now. Get into a position with Balefrost so that they can wipe Envy out on the north side of this circle.
Really nice play so far. They had the building for so long, and it just wound up being in a great vantage point for them. You know, Stab, I think, has been listening to all this talk about Balefrost and wants to remind us he's got a lot of clutch genes in his own right. So for Stab and the rest of United, they have a little bit of an edge on the zone now. But it's kind of a precarious position. There's a lot of up and down here. This hillside kind of difficult to deal with, and we're getting another circle shift onto Endemic and Tempo.
Yeah, and Tempo just biding time out here. Obviously, they got control of the concrete. You can see Sharky and Sharpshot kind of just poised onto the north side. And I think they're perfectly aware of Envy. You can see them taking pop shots. So I like the fact they're positioning out a circle here to try and stop Envy from getting in. Not that I think they have a good opportunity to do so with the United poised 4 up on this side.
Looking for high ground. They might be able to spot Moody or someone. Sharu's getting way up in the grill here. Oh, can you see any movement at all? They're going to nade the smokes. He spots Moody now. Nice spray. Can't get him down. Taylor will step up and help Patcap's edge of the zone. I think he can be spotted. Someone at sharp shot.
Oh, headshot onto.
Ooh, off the side of the noggin there. And there it goes. It's going to be Zampa getting him. Yep. Nice plays so far. Now almost 10 kills for United, still 4 strong. Let's listen to see what they have to say.
Next to me. 3, I think. West. Southwest of me.
Yeah,
inside.
Yeah, just hold.
Just nade it.
They're in the zone.
We have no nades. We have no nades.
I have nades. Can you hold it?
What do you want me to hold? I'm watching your left.
watching
I'm
east
watching
side.
close left. I got a boost though.
No, look at the...
Sec.
I'm peeking it.
That one?
Nice. Q&E.
Hey, push the step. Shrew, go. I'm with you. I'm right behind you. Let's go.
I'm nading off them.
These kids are trash, bro. Let's
Push.
Pushing up.
Right here. I'm low.
On the truck. Road. Truck.
Ooh.
They're dying to trash players.
I hate when that happens.
One dead.
Oh,
Lamp just
no.
destroyed us, dude. Ripping the chat.
I didn't know Taylor died.
In the chat.
Yeah. I think we're just getting too aggressive there.
No, we should have played together more.
I'm safe
here,
Stop.
Play together better.
First knock.
Wow. And that's what happens. You know what? I die to trash players all the time. I've learned that anyone who kills me in PUBG is either cheating, bad, or cheating. So, wow, United, they're put the brakes on that momentum real quick, did Player One Esports, letting them know that, well, I guess they're not trash.
And actually, it looks like Stab's going to go for the res on Balefrost here. I'm not sure whether or not Bell's even going to have an opportunity to med here, but you can always see Tempo poised around this terrain here with the 2 oil tankers. They're going to have open sightlines to everybody pretty much once they come out of this compound.
Listening for Tempo.
Guy in the building.
Okay, it's okay.
Once East Plateau's out, I think you guys wrap back down to Sharp. You might be able to wrap up to Blue, near the dead tree.
One's up top, far south.
Ooh, 2 reses
Okay,
here
they're
for
smoking down the
United.
plateau. Yep, that's them. They're at the plateau.
I see one.
Knock one of United.
Good knock. Can you flush?
He's gonna die to Blue, most likely. They have to run down
They're
the
gonna knock.
They're wiping.
Then 2 of United, 2 of
smoking these
them
guys,
in the
George.
buildings, and then the rest are P1E. So there's 2v3v3. I think you
smoking
wrap
these
south
guys,
towards
George.
Blue.
Up top. Split.
I'm
There's
rapping
gonna be another one. I think. Give me another one.
Don't
I go this way.
overcommit, Sharp. Just make sure you get close. Sharp can push up to the side of the building for free from where he is. You guys should start
I'm
wrapping
coming
west
to
and get to
Sharp.
Sharp.
I'm coming to
Start
Sharp.
wrapping west and get to him. There's nobody up there, Sharky.
Should I peek?
You can peek a little, just don't overcommit. And calm
They could
your
wrap.
team
They
in.
could
What are you
wrap
doing?
out to the north. They could wrap out to the north around our smokes. Gotta be careful. I'm gonna play back.
Starts holding the right side of the building.
P1E in trouble to the zone here.
How many nades do you guys have? Any?
One.
Okay.
I'm mounting
Don't
this-
use it yet. Don't use it yet.
I already threw it. I'm mauling the left side so they wrap. They'll
I
walk
think
into
you
fire.
should use the molly between the buildings.
Yeah, right
You
there.
guys are good.
I don't have nades, sorry.
You just hold
Hold that
it.
up,
2v2.
2v1.
2v1
right
now. I'm gonna throw a stone between their building.
I'm looking out left right now. I don't see.
Sharp has all of right now.
Nade? Wait, was that nade? Did the nade downstairs? Oh,
He's
that's
outside the
the guy into the room.
They're gonna have to. Sharp got one right. One knock right. 1v1 right now.
There's
1v1.
over here.
There's a guy in the left room. He's gonna come out.
Yeah.
He's gonna have to come out soon.
I'm getting up to the wall.
Oh, bad aid, watch out, watch out.
He's laying
Zampa.
prone outside his smoke.
Where, Zampa? Where?
Lane prone on
In the
the smoke.
Dead,
Nice.
dead.
One up. He's inside the
Inside,
building probably.
probably.
He's gonna come out left side. Just double hold left side.
I'm holding left.
He made
Going
his
down the
shot.
blue.
Nice.
Tempo Storm, another victory, and you have to wonder. Endemic conceding the ground, turning and running away from Tempo the first time they saw them, and eventually losing to them in the end game. And that's what happens when you concede ground to Tempo Storm.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean,